Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life's lessons to learn and grow, and to take it to the next level and help others who are struggling through dark times. Now, on this solo episode, I want to talk about the importance of understanding the fact of what you do to take care of the present today will also take care of you in the future. Now, let's think about that for a minute. We're always talking about reflecting on our lessons, right? We talk about that all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's what we all should do to reflect and learn from them. However, what if a lesson learned from a reflection teaches us how to prepare ourselves in case it happens again in the future? Again, let's break that down. We have a lesson in our lives that we're reflecting on in which we learn to prepare in case this same occurrence happens again, the same incident happens again in the future. To me, that's very profound. Um, about 3 years ago, when I started meditating, I downloaded an app called Calm. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the Calm app. Well, after you go through a meditation session, it gives you a quote from a philosopher, a quote from a Buddhist, just several dignitaries in the world, living or past. It's just profound quotes. And so one of the quotes that it gave that resonated with me was, and I can't remember who it was from, but the quote said, "We take care of our future by taking care of our present." And I have to tell you, that really, really resonated with me. I had to think about that. So here it is. For me to break it down and to explain it further in the most simplest of terms, because I love simplicity, I truly do. I think about childhood stories that just comes to mind when it comes to taking care of the present, in which will take care of you in the future. First story. How many of you have remembered or the story of remember the story of the squirrel and the grasshopper? If you remember way back in your childhood, there was a story about the squirrel and the grasshopper. In the spring and the summer, the grasshopper, he just enjoyed life. He would sit back and enjoy the summer breeze. He would hop around and just enjoy life, right? He'd lay back up against a tree, take a nap. Meanwhile, the squirrel was running around, grabbing food, grabbing acorns, nuts, and just storing them in his tree, right? And the grasshopper told the squirrel, "You're just wasting time. Relax, have some fun. Have some fun. And stop storing all those nuts. You work too hard." And then when the winter time came, then the grasshopper was very, very, very hungry, very cold, and the squirrel had all kinds of food to eat, right? Think about the tortoise and the hare, where the hare knew he was much faster than the tortoise, challenged him to a race, and the hare was so fast that he decided he was going to take a nap. And the tortoise, who took care of the present by remaining steady and consistent, not necessarily fast, but steady, and he passed the rabbit while the rabbit was napping, and fast forward to the future, the tortoise wins the race. So it was the inactions of the hare and the grasshopper that put them in a position where they their future was hindered, I guess. They were ill prepared for that future time when that time came. So let's talk about how that relates to everyday life. Personally, with me, I had a rediscovery of this very principle not too long ago, about 3 weeks ago, when I came down with pneumonia. And in order for me to fully explain this, I want to rewind back about 30 years when I started my career early in my 20s. All right. So when I started my job just out of college, there were so many different decisions that I had to make around my job. How much should I save for retirement? What type of medical coverage I thought I needed. And at that point in my life, I never set foot in a hospital. I didn't have a reason to. I never got sick. I was young, I was healthy, I was strong, you know? Um, I just, I didn't know what type of medical coverage to get, but I knew that I needed some type of coverage in case something happens, because anything can happen at any time, right? So I went ahead and enrolled for medical benefits, dental benefits, vision benefits, prescriptions, all of it, right? So we're going to fast forward now to current times. I'm in my 50s. I'm hit with pneumonia. And other than my recent visit to the hospital with pneumonia, I have been in the hospital two other times. Once for prostate cancer, and the second time for rotator cuff surgery on my left shoulder. Now, I'm in the hospital with pneumonia, and as I'm going through every facet of the hospitalization process, from filling out the admission papers, going through the EKGs, the chest x rays, having blood taken, every single step, even laying down in my bed in the hospital room, in my room. Uh, as I went through each facet, I couldn't help but think about how the things I did back in my early 20s in opting for medical coverage, selecting my medical coverage, and having a job in which I can get medical coverage, making those decisions years ago put me in a place where it's taking care of me in future years, as it is now in my 50s. So, in a nutshell, the decisions I made as my younger self years ago has taken care of my older self today. I just think that's just so incredibly profound. And I know if you've ever been in Boy Scouts, for the boys, when you were young, um, what is the mantra of the Boy Scouts? That's right. Always be prepared, right? Always be prepared. And so that pretty much packages the whole meaning of this, you know. But I just want to offer a different angle in how we think about things in retrospect when it comes to reflections, and offer a different angle where we are thinking ahead. We're making decisions now in what we do to take care of us or loved ones in the future, right? Just some things to think about. So, after having this rediscovery epiphany, I guess you can say, my next thoughts and feelings were those of gratitude, just humility and gratitude, just thankful for those decisions, thankful for all the efforts. Thank you for the resources and the ability to have a job where I can have medical coverage. I know full well that there are people in the world who needs medical attention, more medical attention than I ever had. And they have limited or no coverage, no insurance coverage. And my heart goes out to them. And, you know, they either get turned away or they get medical attention, but incurring these large medical bills for years and years on end. With that said, please know that I truly believe that the human right and the need for medical care, for one to be well, takes priority over any costs. Okay. I just wanted to kind of level set when it comes to that. So in closing, there's always a silver lining. I'm a hopeless optimist. You probably know that by now. There's always a silver lining, even in the darkest of days. As bad as I felt in the hospital with pneumonia, I rediscovered the importance of past efforts and decisions surrounding medical coverage that put me in a position where I was taken care of when something happened. It may sound very elementary, but this is something that can be applied in any facet of our lives, not just medical insurance, right? And lastly, the gratitude that comes from this, for me, is a sense of humility, a great feeling of humility, and the broadened awareness to not take things, small or big, for granted. And that's it. I want to thank you all for your time in tuning in and listening to this solo episode. I encourage you to visit Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, and rate and leave a short review if you can. Also, if you have anything you want to share, any thoughts, any feedback, send me an email at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com. And for more Road to Rediscovery episodes, check out the website, roadtorediscovery.com. The Road to Rediscovery is a movement, a revolution. And guess what? You are now part of it. Thanks so much for listening. It sure feels good having you on the journey with me. We'll chat again soon.